Our story follows Jake Lonergan, a man who doesn't know he's a legend, but the metal on his arm and the blood on his hands are about to make him the only hope for a town called Absolution. Jake stumbles through the dust, running on pure survival instinct. When 3 riders try to jump an injured drifter, he drops them all in seconds before they can even blink. He's a ghost with a gun, carrying nothing but a faded photograph of a woman he can't remember. He eventually finds his way to Absolution, a town ruled with an iron fist by a ruthless cattle baron named Colonel Woodrow Dollarhide. But the Colonel's real problem isn't outlaws. It's his spoiled, arrogant son, Percy. Percy is the kind of guy who shoots up the town just because he's bored, confident that his daddy's name makes him untouchable. But when he tries to bully Jake, he learns the hard way that some men don't care about names. The local sheriff, Taggart, eventually steps in and arrests both Percy and Jake, who turns out to be a wanted man with a massive bounty on his head. But just as the town is bracing for a showdown between the law and the Dollarhide ranch hands, the sky literally falls. Strange, blinding lights scream through the clouds. Before anyone can process what's happening, flying metal crafts, ships that shouldn't exist, tear through the town, firing beams of blue light that turn wood to ash. They aren't just here to destroy, though. They're hunting. Long mechanical cables snake down from the ships, snatching people right off the street. Percy is grabbed. The sheriff is taken. Maria, the doctor's wife, is hauled into the sky. In the middle of this chaos, something impossible happens. The heavy metal band on Jake's wrist begins to glow and pulse with a life of its own. It transforms, clicking into place like a high-tech weapon. On pure reflex, Jake aims at the sky and fires a blast of pure energy that knocks an alien ship right out of the air. The town falls silent. In a world of 6 shooters and horses, Jake just used a weapon from the future. Colonel Dollarhide, a man who only respects power, realizes that if they want their people back, they need that weapon, and they need the man wearing it. But Jake still doesn't remember how he got it. A mysterious woman named Ella seems to know more than she's letting on, whispering that these creatures have been here before, and that Jake is the only one who has ever escaped them. But can you trust a man who doesn't even trust his own mind? The search party sets out. A grizzled colonel, a confused outlaw, a doctor who's never fired a gun, and a young boy looking for his grandfather. They are tracking something that bleeds black oil and moves faster than any predator on Earth. As they trek through the wilderness, the tension is thick enough to cut. Every shadow looks like a monster, and every sound could be the end. But the real blow comes when Jake's memories start to flicker back like a dying candle. He remembers a cabin, a sack of stolen gold, and Alice, the woman in the photo. He remembers the night the light took her, and the crushing realization that he was the one who led the monsters straight to her door. Things go from bad to worse when they're ambushed by Jake's old gang, outlaws who feel betrayed and want their gold back. But how do you explain to a bunch of bandits that the gold they're looking for was actually the bait that brought demons from the stars? Just as a gunfight is about to break out, the ships return. In a frantic scramble, Ella is snatched and dropped into a lake. Jake dives in after her, but it's too late. She's gone. Or so they think. In one of the most shocking twists of the journey, the group is captured by Apache warriors who are also hunting the demons. They prepare to execute the newcomers, blaming them for the curse on the land. But then, something supernatural happens. The funeral pyre intended for Ella erupts in white-hot flames, and she walks out of the fire, completely unharmed and reborn. She finally reveals the truth. She isn't human. Her world was destroyed by these invaders, and she has followed them to Earth to make sure the same thing doesn't happen here. She explains that the aliens are here for one thing: gold. On their planet, it's rare. Here, it's everywhere. They aren't just miners, though. They're scouts. If they manage to send word back home, a full-scale invasion will follow, and humanity will be erased. The stronghold is hidden deep in a canyon, a massive metal spire buried in the earth. To stop them, Jake has to fully unlock the memories of his own abduction to find the way in. Through an Apache ritual, he relives the horror, the cold tables, the needles, and the moment he saw Alice disintegrated before his eyes. He didn't just escape. He stole their technology. The shackle on his wrist is their own weapon, and it's the only thing that can pierce their armor. The climax is a desperate, bloody collision of worlds. You have outlaws, lawmen, and Apache warriors, groups that would normally be killing each other, standing side by side against a nightmare they don't understand. Horses charge against laser fire. Bows and arrows fly against titanium skin. It's a suicide mission, but they have no choice. While the battle rages on the surface, Jake and Ella slip into the bowels of the alien ship. It's a labyrinth of pulsing lights and horrific experiments. They find the missing townsfolk, including Percy and the sheriff, suspended in a trance, their minds being harvested for data. Jake frees them, but the mother alien, a massive multi-limbed horror, is waiting for him. It's a grudge match between the man who escaped and the monster that took everything from him. Outside, the Colonel is fighting like a man possessed. Finally seeing his men as more than just workers, he watches his loyal right-hand man, Nat, sacrifice himself to save him, a moment that finally breaks the Colonel's hard heart. He realizes that a man's legacy isn't built on cattle or gold, but on the people he protects. Deep inside the ship, Ella tells Jake, there's only one way to end this. The ship is preparing to take off and signal the fleet. She takes the weapon from Jake's wrist, telling him he has to leave. She's going to overload the core. As Jake and the Colonel sprint out of the rising metal fortress, the ship ascends into the clouds, glowing with a terrifying energy. Then, the sky turns white. A massive explosion ripples through the atmosphere, raining pieces of the alien invaders down like falling stars. The scouts are gone. The signal was never sent. As the dust settles over the desert, the survivors are left to pick up the pieces. The gold is gone, the ships are scrap, and many friends didn't make it back. Percy is humbled, the Colonel is changed, and the town of Absolution finally lives up to its name. Jake Lonergan, the man with no name and no past, has finally found his peace. The sheriff tells him that his crimes are forgotten, that a man who saves the world doesn't owe it anything else. Jake just looks at the horizon, mounts his horse, and rides off into the sunset, a ghost once again. But it makes you wonder, if they came across the stars for our gold once, and we showed them we could fight back, did we really win the war? Or did we just announce our presence to a very dangerous universe? What would you do if you woke up tomorrow with a weapon on your arm and the fate of the world on your shoulders? Let me know in the comments below.